June 10th, 2014 regular council meeting. First thing I'd like to ask all of you to stand and have a moment of silence for RCMP members on duty, please. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda unless somebody has something to add to it, or...
Second.
Move to approve the agenda as circulated. All those in favour signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Does anybody around the table have a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go to the next item, and it's presentation, the Conseil acadien de Par-en-Bas Clyde de Villers et Norbert.
Monsieur le préfet, membre du Conseil municipal du district d'Argyle, il me fait un grand plaisir de pouvoir vous parler ce soir. J'oserais dire que c'est même une soirée historique pour nous autres. Ça fait plusieurs années que nous travaillons pour la promotion et l'épanouissement de la cause française dans la région, et je m'en rappelle jamais qu'on a été invité pour adresser les membres du Conseil municipal d'Argyle. Alors, on peut dire qu'il y a un change d'attitude, il y a une acceptation de nos membres et de notre organisation, et j'en suis très reconnaissant. Nous avons circulé, avec votre permission, un document qui est intitulé « Conseil acadien de Par-en-Bas, dossier prioritaire 2014-2015 ». En avez-vous en main? OK. Avant de procéder là-dessus, j'aimerais nous présenter. D'abord, je suis le président du CAPEB, que nous appelons. Ça fait plusieurs années que je suis président du CAPEB. J'ai quand même pris 1 an et demi de congé à cause que Clyde a eu un congé parental. Et puis, il fallait avoir quelqu'un pour prendre sa place pour quelques mois. Alors, j'ai dû démissionner et Brent Surette a pris ma place pendant 1 année et demie. Et après 1 année et demie, Brent a décidé qu'il avait fait son feuille, et puis il a demandé d'être remplacé, puis je suis revenu à ce temps-là. J'aimerais également dire que Clyde de Villers est notre direction générale. Ça fait 25 ans qu'il travaille pour la FAN, puis tous les fois que je me présente à des organisations, soit locales ou provinciales, je peux dire avec grande fierté que le CAPEB a possiblement le meilleur directeur général de toute la province. Il est bien respecté par la communauté en dehors de la région, et je trouve qu'il est bien respecté par la communauté acadienne et francophone de la région. Ayant dit ça, je ne veux pas vous ennuyer pendant la soirée, à cause que je suis certain que vous avez un ordre du jour assez lourd. Il y a quand même certaines précisions que j'aimerais faire avec votre permission. D'abord, sur la première page, on parle de la mission du CAPEB. Le deuxième paragraphe, on dit que le Conseil acadien de Par-en-Bas s'engage à promouvoir et à faciliter l'épanouissement et le développement global de la communauté acadienne et francophone de la région d'Argyle en collaboration avec ses membres. Mais assez souvent, vous allez vous poser la question, combien il y a de membres qui font partie du CAPEB, du Conseil acadien de Par-en-Bas? Nous avons 175 membres actifs qui ont des cartes qui font membres du CAPEB. Mais en plus de ça, nous avons 20 associations de la région qui appartiennent au CAPEB, qui voudrait dire qu'on a peut-être 800 membres d'une manière indirecte. Par exemple, le musée de Pubnico est associé avec le CAPEB. Le musée de Pubnico a un grand réseau de membres. De même va pour le musée de Wedgeport. De même va pour le village historique acadien des Pubnico. Alors, tous ces gens ici qui appartiennent à une autre organisation, par défaut, ils s'identifient avec nous autres aussi. Retournons au bas de la page, de cette première page. Nous avons deux colonnes. Une colonne, nous avons les résultats directs visés, et l'autre colonne, nous avons les activités du CAPEB. Toutes les fois que nous faisons une demande de financement par nos bailleurs de fonds, il faut être pas mal détaillé, il faut fournir assez d'informations, puis nos bailleurs de fonds s'intéressent pour savoir qu'est-ce que vous faites, quelle est votre vision, puis quelles sont vos activités. Puis, ils nous donnent du financement. On est donné du financement de base de 82 000 $ par an par Patrimoine canadien. Et également, nous recevons un autre, peut-être 70 000 $ de d'autres branches du gouvernement. Excusez. Le premier résultat direct visé, c'est l'augmentation de la fierté et de l'identité acadienne des jeunes et des autres membres de la communauté. Si je vais à côté droit, nous avons indiqué que nous voulons nous assurer que le centre communautaire de Par-en-Bas est utilisé à son plein potentiel et réalise son but d'être le point de ralliement pour la communauté acadienne de la région d'Argyle. Je n'ai pas besoin de vous le dire, mais notre centre communautaire, c'est notre bijou pour la cause acadienne de la région. Vous allez vous demander, est-ce que c'est beaucoup occupé? Clyde a une série de statistiques qu'il pourra partager avec vous autres. Ce soir, par exemple, Simon Leblanc, avec ses jeunes musiciens, se servent du centre communautaire. En effet, ils vont s'en servir pendant 3 soirées de spectacle. Cet été, nous allons avoir une présentation d'Évangeline. Les répétitions ont lieu pas mal souvent dans notre centre communautaire et puis on peut s'attendre d'une production de qualité. Ensuite, nous avons soutenir la programmation du centre et identifier le financement à cette fin. Au centre, nous avons une personne embauchée qui s'appelle Sally Kenny. Le titre de Mme Kenny, elle est directrice artistique. Un de nos gros mal de tête, c'est que ça fait 4-5 ans que Clyde et moi, qu'on va rencontrer les politiciens et provinciaux et fédéraux pour demander pour du financement continu pour embaucher une direction artistique. Jusqu'à ce jour, ils sont toujours agréables, ils sont toujours plaisants, mais ils ne nous donnent pas d'argent pour embaucher une direction artistique. Cependant, nous faisons application pour des projets ponctuels. Ça commence à un certain temps, ça finit à un autre temps. Puis ces projets ici nous permettent de réserver un montant des argents pour payer le salaire de notre direction artistique. De même, on a une direction artistique par la porte en arrière. Pas par un financement stable, mais par des projets qu'on doit appliquer pour tous les années. Puis on ne peut pas appliquer pour les mêmes projets. À cause que si c'est les mêmes projets, ça sera une programmation continue. Puis ce n'est pas ça qu'ils veulent. Le troisième point là, c'est gérer le centre communautaire en collaboration avec le CSAP. Il y a assez de gens qui ne savent pas. Ils pensent que le centre communautaire nous appartient. Le centre communautaire, la bâtisse, ne nous appartient pas. Le centre communautaire appartient au CSAP. Et nous avons signé une longue entente avec le CSAP pour nous servir des locaux. Et eux se fient sur nous autres pour la gestion de la salle Pierre-Maurice Leblanc. Alors, il y a une bonne entente de collaboration. Quelques années passées, il y a eu un incident sur les terrains, il y a quelqu'un qui a glissé, qui s'est fait mal et qui voulait nous poursuivre en cours à cause qu'il trouvait pas qu'il y avait eu du sel mis pour l'entrée de la garderie. Et ils ont vite réalisé que des questions de responsabilité de même, ça soulève au propriétaire de l'édifice, IE, qui est le CSAP. J'ai tourné la page, sur la deuxième page, je vais aller plus vite à cause que je sais que Clyde a des choses qu'il veut ajouter. Dans la première colonne à côté droite, nous avons des activités que nous listons, que nous considérons comme étant très importantes. Nous avons la fête du 15 août, les activités de reconnaissance d'un bénévole, Mardi Gras, le festival du bon temps Par-en-Bas et les rendez-vous de la francophonie. Ce sont des activités que nous organisons de nos bureaux, que nous trouvons du financement pour et qui sont devenues de plus en plus populaires. Par exemple, notre nouveau festival du bon temps, du printemps, au-delà de 1300 personnes ont participé. Et disons, la dernière journée, il y avait un dîner de musique au Club acadien à Saint-Anne-du-Ruisseau. Au-delà de 200 personnes qui sont rendues pour cette activité. Alors, c'est devenu de plus en plus populaire. Le petit déjeuner du Mardi Gras, au-delà de 200 personnes qui participent. Ensuite, la colonne ensuite nous parle de notre association avec les jeunes. Les jeunes s'assisent alentour de notre table, de notre conseil d'administration. Ils ont 2 votes. Ils sont parfois invités pour venir aux réunions annuelles de la FAN à Halifax, mais le CAPEB réalise que les jeunes sont le clé de notre futur. Alors, pour les engager maintenant, je crois que c'est pour nous assurer une continuité dans le futur. J'aimerais te parler de la prochaine à côté gauche. Les membres du CAPEB sont plus forts et profitent de notre appui. Là, on parle de la gestion du Conseil acadien de Par-en-Bas de jour en jour. Je tourne la page. Sur la page 3, en haut, le troisième point, travailler en collaboration avec le Festival acadien international de Par-en-Bas, surtout en vue du concours de Star Acadie. Pour vos informations, nous avons une jeune étudiante, le Festival acadien de Par-en-Bas, international de Par-en-Bas, une jeune étudiante, une Chelsea Nickerson, qui organise un concert de musique de qualité qui aura lieu dans la salle Père-Maurice Leblanc dans le mois de juillet. Et puis, on pourra gagner des prix jusqu'à 2000 $ qui ont été ramassés dans la communauté. Puis, toute la soirée, toute la présentation, ça nous touche le cœur, car la présentation, le spectacle se passe tout en français. Le prochain bloc d'idées, nous devons faire la promotion des activités des organismes francophones de la région et on se sert des médias sociaux. Le troisième résultat, la région obtient plus de services en français, les utilise et les demande. Nous voulons poursuivre le travail de revendication des services en français. L'an dernier, une de nos employés a passé pas mal toutes les entreprises de la région et a eu offert de mettre un signe dans leur bureau que les services en français étaient disponibles. Et à notre grande surprise, il y en a plusieurs qui ont accepté ça, qui veut dire que maintenant, il y a des endroits que tu peux rentrer et que tu sais automatiquement que les services disponibles en français sont là. À la fin de la page, nous voulons faire la promotion, le développement du site PAC. Nous avons un site PAC. J'arrive à la dernière page. Le CAPEB, deuxième colonne, veut représenter la communauté acadienne sur divers comités et initiatives d'intérêt à la région. Nous siégeons, par exemple, sur le comité de réseau santé pour le Sud-Ouest. Nous travaillons en collaboration avec la municipalité d'Argyle pour faire la demande d'un établissement d'un conseil de santé communautaire. Nous travaillons avec la FAN provinciale, nous travaillons avec la FECAN, nous travaillons avec le CDNE. Et le dernier paragraphe, ça met plusieurs dossiers, plusieurs autres dossiers tels que l'immigration. Ça pique notre intérêt et on s'engage toujours, si qu'on pourra, de travailler sur l'élaboration de cette idée. Maintenant, je passe la parole à Clyde de Villers. Clyde va nous parler des statistiques et il va nous parler de ce qu'on aimerait voir dans le futur.
Merci Norbert et bonsoir. It's kind of a hard act to follow. J'ai supposé dire que tu es le meilleur président des associations. Ben, c'est le meilleur président des associations membres de la FAN. Mais all jokes aside, c'est certainement un président qui donne de son temps et qui est dévoué à la cause.
Le président pense qu'au temps beau,
C'est la pluralité, oui. Vois-tu? C'est bien ça. OK. Dans votre trousse, d'abord, vous avez une fiche qui parle des spectacles à la salle Père-Maurice Leblanc. C'est 2 pages. Je vais prendre tout le repas. Et c'est rien que pour vous donner un aperçu de l'activité qui se passe au centre. C'est qu'il y a des gens qui pensent peut-être 6, 7, 8 ans passés quand on regardait pour bâtir un centre, que qu'est-ce qu'elle a s'en servir? Well, si vous regardez en bas de la première page, 6 736 personnes ont passé la porte de la salle Père-Maurice Leblanc en 2013-14 pour fréquenter un spectacle. Il y avait 36 représentations de spectacles. Et ça fait 3 ans que le théâtre est actif et c'est pas mal ça la norme. En fait, on a augmenté un peu l'année passée, comparé à l'année précédente. Puis ça, c'est rien que les spectacles. Ensuite, on vous donne toute une liste de ce qui se passe dans le centre. Il y a des choses qui se passent, bien sûr, dans la salle Père-Maurice, il y a des choses qui se passent dans notre salle de rencontre. Et bien sûr, nous hébergeons le Jardin des Petits, la seule garderie de la municipalité d'Argyle, la seule garderie française et la seule garderie. Nous hébergeons la Pirouette, qui est un centre de service pour les jeunes familles. Ils ont des prêts de livres et de ressources pour les familles. Ils font des ateliers pour les familles. Nous avons un service d'intervention précoce à partir du centre, qui est encore pour les jeunes familles, pour tester les enfants avant qu'ils rentrent à l'école, pour faire sûr qu'ils sont prêts pour l'école. S'ils sont point, mettre les ressources en place pour qu'ils soient prêts. Et une gamme d'activités qui se passent au centre. 5 ans passés, très peu de ces sites existaient. Avant 2009, quand on a déménagé dans le centre dans novembre, Chris était avec moi dans le temps, on a déménagé du campus de Sainte-Anne dans notre centre nouveau dans octobre 2009. Presque rien de ces sites se passe à ce moment-là. Alors, ça montre que parce qu'on a augmenté le niveau d'activité dans la région. Et ce n'est pas rien que nous autres. Évidemment, la communauté vient chez nous pour faire ce qu'ils veulent faire en forme de spectacle et autres. L'autre fiche vous donne, Norbert l'a déjà mentionné, vous donne les statistiques de notre Festival du Bon Temps. Et on vous remercie pour votre appui financier et l'année passée et cette année pour notre festival. Encore une augmentation d'à peu près 10% de 2013. 1370 personnes qui ont participé à notre festival et toute la liste d'activités. Là, je vais prendre tout le repasser avec vous autres. Alors, ça vous donne un aperçu de ce qui se passe chez nous. Ensuite, les 4 prochaines pages que vous avez, c'est recto verso, c'est les données linguistiques de la municipalité d'Argyle et du comté d'Yarmouth. Puis, je suis sûr qu'en municipalité, des démographiques, ça vous concerne, ça vous intéresse. Puis ça, c'est des démographiques. Puis ça qui nous intéresse, en plus du nombre total de personnes, puis on sait que la population d'Argyle a diminué dans les derniers 5 ans, dans les derniers 15 ans. Mais on sait aussi, et ça qui est inquiétant pour nous aussi, c'est que le nombre de parlants français diminue dans la municipalité d'Argyle et dans le comté d'Yarmouth. Alors, par exemple, si tu regardes le tableau 2,6, qui est la première page des données linguistiques, vous allez voir que dans... Et puis ça, c'est... By the way, ces statistiques ici, c'est grâce au Conseil de développement économique de la Nouvelle-Écosse, qui font ce qu'on appelle un profil communautaire. Ils donnent un portrait de toutes les régions acadiennes, les principales régions acadiennes, dont Argyle, c'est bien sûr une des principales régions acadiennes de la Nouvelle-Écosse. Alors, CDN a compilé ces statistiques ici à partir du recensement 2011 et les autres recensements qui l'ont précédé. Ça va on a diminué la population de 670 personnes, de 96 à 2011. Et on a diminué le nombre de personnes qui ont le français comme langue maternelle de 675 personnes, de 96 à 2011. Alors que et puis quand je dis langue maternelle, je veux dire leur première langue apprise à la maison quand ils étaient petits et qui comprennent encore et qui parlent encore. Ça fait, nous autres, bien sûr, c'est le français qui nous intéresse le plus. Alors qu'on est moins que la moitié. Les Acadiens qui ont le français comme première langue sont moins que la moitié de la municipalité d'Argyle, essentiellement 45% de la population. Tandis que sur le bord anglais, on a augmenté depuis 1996 de 330 personnes. Ça, c'est pas à cause que les Anglais sont plus féconds que les Français. C'est à cause qu'il y a un transfert linguistique qui se fait. Il y a moins de monde qui parle français. Si on regarde le tableau 2,7, qui est à la prochaine page, on voit, lorsqu'on parle d'une connaissance du français, ça fait, le français, c'est peut-être leur première langue, mais c'est aussi peut-être leur deuxième langue, ou leur troisième ou leur quatrième langue. Mais d'habitude, ce sera, dans notre cas, leur deuxième langue. On voit là qu'on a diminué de 755 personnes, de 5890 dans 96 à 5135. La bonne nouvelle, si tu veux, c'est qu'encore 2/3 de notre municipalité comprend le français. Ça fait, on peut dire qu'à peu près 2/3 de notre monde ont une connaissance du français. Ils parlent peut-être pas comme première langue, mais ils ont moins une connaissance du français. Le tableau 2,9 en bas de la page, et c'est ce qui m'inquiète le plus, comme personne, comme individu, comme parent, comme papa, c'est qu'il y a 1300 personnes de moins dans Argyle qui parlent français à la maison. On a été de 3940 en 96 à 2640 en 2011. Ça, c'est un tiers du monde qui parle français à la maison ne le font plus. Ça, c'est 15 ans, c'est à peu près une génération. Si on pense à nos enfants, qu'est-ce qui va en venir, mais que nos enfants, c'est à notre âge. Pour ceux-là de nous autres qui avons des jeunes enfants, et même vous autres, vous avez probablement quasiment tous des enfants, qu'est-ce qui va arriver, mais que nos enfants, c'est aux adultes. Alors, c'est ça, pour moi, comme individu et comme directeur général du CAPEB, qui m'inquiète le plus. La dernière page vous donne une fiche sur le comté de Yarmouth. Puis ça, c'est de quoi que j'ai demandé pour. Et la raison que j'ai demandé pour ça, c'est parce que le CAPEB, bien qu'on représente les Acadiens et les parlants français de tout le comté de Yarmouth, essentiellement Argyle, mais il ne faut pas oublier qu'il y a une certaine population de notre monde qui reste point d'Argyle. Et je suis sûr que ça vous intéresse au point de vue que vous avez beaucoup à faire avec la ville, la municipalité de Yarmouth quand même, que vous êtes point élu pour les représenter. Alors, si on regarde les statistiques du comté de Yarmouth, 5065 personnes ont le français comme langue maternelle. Ça fait qu'il y a un autre 1300 personnes qui restent point d'Argyle qui ont le français comme première langue. Puis, et puis ça, c'est 20% de la population du comté. Ça fait 1 sur 5 personnes dans le comté de Yarmouth a le français comme langue maternelle. Là, il y a un autre 5860 qui comprennent le français, connaissance des deux langues. Ça, c'est 31% de la population du comté. Ça fait quasiment un tiers du monde dans le comté connaissent le français. Pour moi, ça, c'est une bonne nouvelle. Ça veut dire Yarmouth est point assez anglophone comme qu'on a l'impression qu'elle est. Et si je garde mon CA, mon conseil d'administration, Norbert reste pas dans la municipalité d'Argyle, moi je reste pas dans la municipalité d'Argyle, Marie-Germaine, notre secrétaire, Marie-Germaine Chartrand, reste pas dans la municipalité d'Argyle, mais je suis beaucoup impliqué dans cette communauté parce que c'est notre communauté d'intérêt. C'est ici que mes enfants vont à l'école, c'est ici que je travaille, c'est ici que je vais à l'église, c'est ici que je fais mon temps bénévole, mais ça donne que je reste point dans vos frontières. Et je suis point le seul que c'est de même. Alors, je crois que c'est important qu'on parle de cette population-là. Alors, les conclusions que j'aimerais tirer de ces statistiques ici, c'est que malgré tout ce qu'on a fait, malgré toutes les belles choses que Norbert a expliquées, les bonnes statistiques que je vous ai présentées à Chèvre, on perd la bataille quand même au niveau de la langue. Alors, ça va prendre une collaboration de tous les partenaires potentiels dans la municipalité d'Argyle et ailleurs pour essayer de faire de quoi de ce transfert linguistique qui se fait avec notre monde. Puis, une des choses, puis, bien sûr, on cherche votre collaboration à ce que ça arrive. Parce que vous offrez, comme nous autres, beaucoup de services à la population. Étant la municipalité, vous avez des départements, vous avez des services, vous offrez ces choses-là aux citoyens et on cherche votre collaboration. Une des choses qu'on aimerait faire, c'est justement organiser un forum communautaire pour parler de ces statistiques ici. Je ne suis pas sûr que le monde réalise. Je suis sûr qu'on sait que quand on entend nos jeunes parler à l'école, ou qu'on va à la Chapacarle ou n'importe où dans la région, puis qu'on entend les jeunes parler, on sait qu'ils se parlent en anglais. Moi, j'ai 5 enfants, ils parlent tout français à la maison. Il y a très peu d'eux qui ont des amis avec qui ils parlent en français. Ça, c'est une réalité de nos jeunes. Ça va, on voit ça, on entend ça, mais je ne suis pas sûr qu'on sait quoi en faire. Et j'arrive pas ici avec des conclusions toutes faites. Mais j'arrive avec en demandant votre aide à découvrir ce qu'on peut faire. Ça va, pour moi, d'abord, il faut en parler. Puis là, voir ce qu'on peut faire ensemble, comme région et comme municipalité. Les autres choses que Norbert a mentionné beaucoup des choses de collaboration qu'on peut faire ensemble. L'affichage routier. Donner un portrait plus français, acadien de notre région par nos chemins, par nos villages, par les cas, par les rivières, par les enseignes touristiques. Et je vous remercie, vous avez accepté de former un comité d'affichage entre nous autres et vous autres pour justement discuter de ce sujet-là. Puis je pense que ce sera une bonne chose de rencontrer le comité et d'avoir des discussions, parce qu'il y a encore des chemins qui n'ont pas été faits, mais c'est plus grand que ça, notre projet d'affichage. Norbert a parlé d'un conseil de santé communautaire. Je sais qu'au niveau provincial, on parle de fusionner les districts, les régies de santé, les District Health Authorities, de 9 à 1, ou 2, IWK puis le reste de la province. Je crois que c'est une opportunité pour nous autres d'avoir un conseil de santé en français pour les régions acadiennes. Parce que je crois que le gouvernement va chercher à s'approcher du monde, vu qu'il s'éloigne du monde sur l'autre bord, si vous me suivez, pour remplacer le fait qu'ils s'en font plus central. Excuse-moi. Et il y a du monde en place qui peut nous aider, je crois, avec ça. En fait, une des nôtres, Carmel d'Entremont, qui vient de la région, travaille sur le dossier de fusionnement des régies de santé. On a quelqu'un là qui pourrait peut-être nous aider. Je ne veux pas la mettre sur la spot, mais c'est une possibilité. Au niveau du tourisme, évidemment, avec notre centre, notre salle Pierre-Maurice, la Galerie d'Or, on peut accueillir des touristes, on peut avoir des activités, mais on ne peut pas le faire tout seul. On a déjà appuyé la municipalité, l'ambassadeur touristique, le jeune. C'est notre projet, parce que vous avez été refusé. Nous avons appliqué pour, je l'avais eu. Ça, c'est une collaboration. Tout le comité de sortie 33, question d'affichage, on a écrit une lettre d'appui pour votre projet d'affichage et d'embellissement de la région de Tusket. Le département de loisirs, je crois vraiment qu'on peut faire plus là. C'est là qu'on touche, à mon sens, le monde le plus. On a des camps d'été, on a d'autres camps pour les jeunes, on a des activités pour les aînés. Je sais qu'il faut servir la population anglophone, je comprends ça, mais il faut aussi servir la population acadienne dans sa langue. Si on va contrecarrer ces statistiques-là que je viens de vous expliquer. Puis on travaille actuellement une rencontre avec Ginette pour discuter d'abord les camps d'été. Comment est-ce qu'on peut franciser, pour ainsi dire, avoir du contenu français dans les camps d'été. Service en français, des choses comme répondre au téléphone dans les 2 langues. La réception au comptoir. On appelle ça l'offre active. Quand moi je dis quand quelqu'un appelle bonjour, hello, la personne sur l'autre bout sait que je parle français. Puis Kenneth Deveau fait une étude, et Alain est à la réunion quand il a donné les résultats de son étude. 9 sur 10 personnes qui parlent français, quand ils savent que l'autre personne parle français, vont continuer la conversation en français. S'ils ont besoin de deviner, s'ils ne sont pas sûrs, 1 sur 10 vont pousser au point d'avoir une conversation en français. Les Acadiens sont généralement gentils, on parle les 2 langues, ça fait, on a tendance de point pousser trop sur l'autre bord. Ça fait, c'est Kenneth qui a fait cette étude-là. Et votre correspondance, votre site web, ainsi de suite, le plus bilingue que c'est, le mieux que c'est. Puis aussi les bibliothèques. Je sais que vous offrez des services en France à Pubnico. À Yarmouth, c'est un peu plus un défi. Et je sais que ce n'est pas notre municipalité, mais beaucoup de notre monde, comme vous savez, va à Yarmouth pour des services. Puis bien sûr, la dernière chose, c'est notre poids politique. On a notre propre municipalité. Il y a des régions acadiennes en Nouvelle-Écosse qui sont jalouses d'Argyle parce qu'ils n'ont pas de leur propre municipalité. Je vous supplie de faire tout possible pour garder notre municipalité comme une municipalité unie, sans le fusionner avec d'autres. Et bien sûr, la question de circonscription électorale provinciale, on a travaillé ensemble pour se battre, si tu veux, contre le gouvernement. On n'a pas gagné, mais, comme vous savez, c'est rendu en cours, on ne peut pas en parler plus que ça, mais votre appui continu sera probablement nécessaire à un moment donné. Et si oui, ben, on va continuer à travailler ensemble. Alors, c'est ça ma présentation. Avez-vous des questions?
Je trouve ça intéressant. Quand on a Madame Yvette Par-en-Bas va inviter une bande de vieux comme nous autres pour aller là parler aux jeunes juste, et parler français, seulement français. Et on a demandé aux jeunes, grade 11 et 12, comment est-ce qu'on a vous autres qui parlez français ici à l'école ou avec vos amis? Well, ils me disent, je parle français quand je parle avec Stella, tu sais.
Ouais.
Et quand je parle avec les autres, qui sont encore des francophones, ils parlent anglais. Il y a certains qui parlent français.
Ouais.
Et c'est ça qui est c'est intéressant.
Ben, ça qui arrive à l'école, malheureusement, c'est que le français est maintenant perçu comme une langue formelle d'études.
Oui.
C'est qu'ils étudient toute la journée en français, ils font leurs devoirs en français. C'est plus, ou c'est beaucoup moins, une langue pour s'amuser, une langue de conversation de tous les jours. Et puis, nous autres, avec Norbert parlait de nos projets, parmi nos projets, beaucoup de nos projets visent les jeunes, des ateliers pour les jeunes dans les arts, pour qu'ils peuvent s'amuser en français. Et c'est ça qui paye, qui fait en sorte qu'on a une direction artistique, comme Norbert dit, c'est grâce à nos projets. Mais notre grand défi chez les jeunes, c'est qu'ils perçoivent la langue comme une langue formelle et pas comme une langue de tous les jours.
S'ils apprenaient l'acadien,
Ben,
à l'école,
si
ils
étudier
acadien.
Si étudier études acadiennes au junior high à la place de grade 10 et qu'on arrête d'étudier les pyramides de grade 7, 8 et 9, c'est qu'on ferait des avances. Mais ça, c'est un autre sujet.
C'est vrai.
Un petit commentaire, là. Ça fait longtemps que j'ai des part-time qui travaillent à la garage, des jeunes qui vont à l'école, Par-en-Bas, il y a des Mauriceaux avant. Et une chose que m'a perçu dans les derniers 40 ans que je suis là, beaucoup de gens parlent anglais au comptoir, ils se parlent, les chums et ça. Et beaucoup de personnes qui veulent me laisser des notes le soir pour le lendemain matin, quelque chose qu'ils veulent. Ils me quittent tout ça, toujours en français.
C'est vrai.
C'est ça que le plus sérieux que j'ai ever vu. Mais non, puis ils se parlent tout en anglais,
Ouais.
et tous mes notes sont tout en français.
C'est vrai.
Qu'ils me laissent.
Ouais.
Ça me surprend. Pourquoi il y a ça trop de mots, mais c'est juste un
Ben, c'est pas vous croyez que c'est tout du négatif.
Non.
C'est rien que si on fait pas de Quaster, dans notre génération, si je suis encore ici, je vais être ici à vous dire que je vais perdu la bataille. Je vais pas perdu la bataille encore,
Bon, non.
mais c'est le temps de faire de quoi. On ne peut
Ça
plus se fier sur la famille. Il y a 3 piliers de la communauté, la famille, la communauté, puis l'école. Puis nous autres, sur la communauté, la famille, puis bien sûr l'école. L'école fait sa part, autant qu'un peu, en français. Mais la communauté, c'est anglicisé, puis la famille, c'est anglicisé. Fait, nous autres, je n'ai pas de contrôle sur les familles, mais j'ai un certain contrôle sur la communauté. Puis c'est là qu'ensemble, je crois qu'on faut essayer de faire de quoi, puis sensibiliser les parents pour qu'ils au moins parlent le français de temps à autre même, à la maison, pour que l'enfant puisse apprécier ce qui devrait être sa première langue.
Oui. News, conseiller.
Ça que tu dis, je n'ai pas de contrôle sur les familles, mais je contrôle sur la communauté. Mais si les familles les laissent parler anglais à la maison, il y a l'autre qui change dans la communauté. À moi, ça qui arrive à ce c'est que l'intérêt du français, de peut-être notre génération, commence à diminuer. C'est ça, je crois, qui arrive. Parce que si j'étais intéressé assez si tout le monde est intéressé de garder le français, tous les fois que nos enfants parlent anglais ou les collégiens, au lieu de parler français, ça qui arrive, à cause que les enfants commencent à parler anglais, ça qui arrive, c'est mentally, là, tu viens que toi, tu réponds en anglais et tout. À cause que si tu parles en anglais, ça sauve que c'est plus naturel de répondre dans la langue que vous êtes parlant. Et puis, plus qu'on fait ça, et plus anglais.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Moi, je crois que c'est beaucoup l'intérêt qui s'en va là. Le monde français est venu que ces points si importants, et puis t'es correct, là, alors il parle.
Ouais,
Notre génération va venir à pouvoir parler français.
je comprends ce que tu dis, Danny, mais moi je crois qu'il y a de plus en plus de monde dernièrement qui est intéressé dans le français. Mais ils parlent non pas le français.
Ouais.
Comment ça fait qu'il y a tant d'élèves qui vont à l'école francophone à la place de l'anglophone, tu sais?
On reconnaît l'importance du français, je crois, comme région. C'est comme tu dis, nos écoles ne sont pas pleines, mais on a une bonne population d'élèves dans nos 4 écoles du CSAP de Argyle. Et franchement, les 2 écoles anglophones, il y a quasiment plus d'élèves sur le bord d'immersion qu'il y a sur le bord anglais à cette heure. Ça fait qu'il y a certainement un intérêt au français. Le problème, c'est qu'on prend pour acquis que l'école va faire le job pour nous autres.
Oui.
Puis c'est là que on a oublié que la raison qu'on est français, c'est pas à cause de l'école. 50 ans passés, il n'y a pas un grand cours de français à l'école. C'est à cause de la communauté.
Oui.
C'est ça, justement. C'est l'inverse.
Oui.
Ça va, faut qu'on responsabilise la communauté qui inclut les parents de comprendre que ces statistiques ici mentent son point.
Oui.
Ça va, et je crois une partie de la perte d'intérêt, c'est qu'on le prend pour acquis. On voit les points parce qu'on croit que ça va être OK, l'école fait le job pour nous autres. L'école va pas faire le job pour toujours.
Conseiller Bourg.
Juste un point, c'est que pensez-vous que les médias sociaux aussi influencent les jeunes à parler anglais?
Oh,
J'avons des iPhones, j'avons des iPads, la télévision c'est tout en anglais, tu peux écouter des postes français, mais c'est surtout quand c'est translation, là, c'est pas la même chose.
C'est plate,
Chez nous, c'est même. Chez nous, ça se parle beaucoup français.
Ce qui se passe. D'accord.
OK, oui, merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous autres.
Clyde,
On apprécie
bonne
ça beaucoup.
présentation. Et
C'est ça, justement. Merci.
c'est bon de voir que vous faisiez du bon travail. Il y a plusieurs personnes qui vont au théâtre Père Maurice Leblanc. C'est impressionnant. Je pense, faut compter, ce que tu dis, c'est des présentations, c'est point toutes des annonces et toutes les autres affaires qui sont faites. Oui.
Beaucoup de spectacles.
Oui. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay, we'll go to adoption of minutes. C'est toujours en anglais. Planning Advisory Committee of February the 27th.
So,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. I think, yeah, we should be able to do the Western Regional Enterprise Networks, and we do those all in one block. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of them.
4, B, C, D,
And F. Let's do them all in one block. Let's approve them. If anybody has any questions. Been moved?
Second.
Seconded? Any comments or questions or?
Just
Oh,
one comment. You realize it is still acting as a committee of this council for the time being.
yes,
And that's
yeah.
why we're moving for the first time.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Special council meeting, grants to organizations of April the 29th. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Hold on.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Can you second it if you're not there?
Not advised.
Just
Who seconded?
Councilor Murphy, just to save a hassle.
And he was not there?
No.
Absolutely, you know, I'd like to seek another second here with all due respect to Councilor Murphy.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. West
How
Pubnico,
can we move, sorry, Mr., how can we move the rents if we weren't there?
I was wondering the
Sound
same.
or-
No, because it's a committee of yours.
Okay,
That's,
different.
yeah, it's a different one. This is, they are not minutes of yours, they're minutes of a committee of yours.
Yeah, they could be ratified or approved. Your question is well taken, because in this case, we need to at least ratify the minutes in order for them to be acceptable. It's basically a process that needs to be put in place.
that's why we did it four at once.
All right.
Because it's still operating as a
Sorry,
committee.
Mr. Chairman, about that.
Sorry,
That's,
okay.
that's good, that's all right.
That's what happens
Good
when I...
question.
I mentioned that because that's a discussion. You and I had.
Yes, we did, yeah.
Good
Thank you.
question. West Pubnico Sewer Committee. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Tusket Sewer Committee.
So moved.
I can second it, but I wasn't there.
It's ratification.
Okay.
All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Regular Council of May the 13th.
This one has to be a mover and a seconder who were present because
Yeah.
it's of this council.
Yes.
So move.
Second.
It's moved by
No more.
Lucien, seconded by Kathy,
Oh,
the
sorry
first
about
time.
Oh,
It's okay.
that.
Thanks for the backup.
will you speak up? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
We're older.
Special budget meeting of May the 13th.
Second.
Any more comments or questions? Not. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carried. And the last one is Committee of the Whole meeting of May the 27th. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. And like I've said many times, anybody that wants to see these minutes, we go through them quickly, but they're all on our website, or you can come to the office and have a look at them. Staff will oblige. Business arising from the minutes. Municipal boundary review, public consultation report. Alain, you're gonna, Monsieur Muse,
Alan is great.
CAO Muse.
Okay, so thank you very much first to Deputy Clerk Chris Frotton for compiling the report. This is a summary of our consultation meetings that we had in the community. Each region has its own specific feedback in the document. I'm not going to go through in heavy. A lot of the front piece of the report is actually repetition for you. Basically, what was the process? Most of you actually participated in the process as an observer. So you're quite aware of where we are at this point. So the public feedback, we had 36 total people participate in the meeting formats. There were meetings in Pubnico, East Kempt, Eelbrook, and Wetchport. We tried to get at multiple communities represented at these meetings. We did ask them in each meeting for very specific feedback. So what we did was that we explained this current situation around the 9 councillors. We explained how we got to 7. Some actually got to see the video with the gumballs in it. No comment. We'll continue. We'll move past that one. Anyway, so some were informed in that fashion. Others were very clear around the process, and so there were 9 and 7 options, and we explained how we got to the 2. And we had maps presented to the community that showed a revised 9, which is very, very close to what we have now, and a 7 councillor option, which changed the district's boundaries quite a bit. So we did receive specific feedback on the 7 option in 2 ways. The feedback that we received was, 7 sounds like a good number, but we don't particularly like the way you drew the lines. So we had and that's just one example of the feedback that we received. It's all documented here. The consultation results differed by community for the most part. So some communities wholeheartedly agreed that 7 was a great option. Actually, one particular community, the community of Pubnico, felt that they were well represented by the councillors in the 4 corner districts. There were actually, people made comments that there were quite a few districts that met in the middle, and so they knew that they could receive effective representation from many of those people, so they felt like it could be reduced. The thought differed 100% in East Kemptville. So East Kemptville felt that because of they're a bit isolated geographically, so going from 9 to 7 would reduce their representation quite considerably. So they supported unilaterally the 9 option. We looked at Saint-Anne-du-Ruisseau. That was a particularly unique situation because we drew a line. We had to draw a line somewhere when we went from in the 7 boundary for 7 option, and the line was drawn in that community, split a community in half, and they didn't like that one bit. We weren't particularly surprised with that feedback, but we had to draw a line of that nature somewhere. And unfortunately, that's where it was drawn. We do have some precedents around that line where it was drawn initially. So essentially what the community told us, they reconfirmed that Eelbrook and SAR are one community, not 2. So they, so their feedback was don't draw the line where you drew it, which is to say across a bridge. That was really a fictitious boundary for them because it was all one community. Finally, in Wedgeport, Wedgeport was the community that I think was impacted the least by the 7 option. They didn't lose representation; the representation line moved, right? So we had pretty interesting feedback around Upper Wedgeport, Plymouth, and where the line was, and what their preferences were. And the majority were in favor of the 9 option. They felt that there wasn't a considerable change, and they felt that the representation was more important than the savings that they would ultimately uncover or have. So of the 36 total participants, 9 were in favor of 7, clearly in favor of 7, and 27 were clearly in favor of 9. I think some that were in favor of 7, there might have been a little bit more that would have been in favor of 7 if the boundaries were drawn a little differently, but I think in a lot of cases it didn't matter where the boundary was drawn, they valued representation. So that's the results from the 36 people that we spoke with. We've listed the major concerns. There were 2 communities in particular that cited major concerns. I think I mentioned them both. One being Eelbrook, the line, and the other East Kemptville being isolated, and the importance of representation for them. And so the recommendations coming from staff are as follows. It asks council, not necessarily today, but could be today, to make one of 2 decisions. One would be to make a recommendation to maintain the 9, or the revised 9, I should say. If that is in fact something that you're prepared to decide today, our recommendation would be that if that is your choice, there would be no requirement to go back to the community. That's our opinion. You can actually, it's your option to go back to the community. Our opinion is that you wouldn't have to because you're not presenting new information. You're only basically saying, based on your consultation, based on your discussion, we've chosen 9. If you make the second choice, which is to say to reduce to 7, your first step is to determine what that looks like, and we have some options that you can examine in terms of like a revised 7 map. And of course, if you do make changes, if you do want to re-show or re-present the 7 option, I would strongly recommend that you go back to the public because they have not seen that option, and so it will be considerably different than the option that we presented initially. So in order to get effective feedback, we would recommend that you would have to go back into the community. Do we have those maps? We have those maps available. So what we've done is we have actually drafted 2 options that would, that attempt to address the feedback that we've received. So those are available for you if you wish to see them in your discussion. So that was a long summary of the public consultation report. We trust you've had the opportunity to look at it. We don't require a decision today, but we do require a decision by the end of the month, especially if we're going to go back to the public, because we would like to do that in September in order to give us enough time to go to the UARB. That's my presentation.
Yes.
I'm looking at the numbers and 36 total participants in the public consultation. We also, or did we have, or people have the opportunity to email or to, so those statistics are where?
We have not received any online submissions.
Is that right? That's surprising.
We were also surprised. I should tell council that that was not only advertised, but it was advertised particularly in the social media, and we boosted the post. So many people saw online the opportunity to provide that feedback. Some of them, I'm sure, went to the meetings, but we did not receive one online, which was actually very surprising.
Does the solicitor have some information for us, or?
Nothing at all.
Oh.
I was not much involved in the
Okay.
process.
I thought your light was on, so I thought maybe you wanted to talk.
My light was on perhaps from a previous occasion.
Okay,
but not
I
this
missed
time.
it the first time. Thank you. Councillor Donaldson?
Yes, I'm very disappointed with the number 36 to start with. That's 4 meetings, and the one I attended, there was 4 people there. And I thought I've lost something along the way. I thought it was council's decision a while back. I don't know if it was by motion or just general agreement that 9 was what we was in favor of, and we've done the public consultation and meetings to see if there was other options that the public was strongly in favor of instead of the 9. And I feel we're just back where we started. Like the public didn't seem to care. They didn't turn out, and what did turn out was in favor, in line with what council was thinking all along. And if there's to be any changes, I think it's up to the utility and review boards to ask us to make changes. I think we've done our part. And,
Well, I don't.
and so we're gonna have to make a decision what we're gonna present to the utility and review board. Is it
That's
7?
what I
Is it
mean, yeah.
9?
We can't
So-
wait for them to come to us. We have to
No,
go
but we
to
gotta
them.
give them something that
Yeah.
that council's in favor of staying status quo. And if they don't like that, then we'll have to look at boundaries and numbers and whatnot. But we've tried to do our part, and it was inconclusive as far as I'm concerned, with that few people turning out and I have always been in favor of leaving it the way it is, based on the community of interest and our geographic layout. And if the utility review board sees differently, then we'll have to deal with it. But I think we've wasted enough time on staff's time and whatnot looking at this. Let's just move on.
Okay, so what's our move now? That motion that we made months ago to keep 9, does that still stand?
I think the motion that was made for 9 was, first of all, was before we knew we had to present 2 options.
That's right.
That's number one. I
Yeah,
think that's
I know.
important
Yeah.
to clarify.
Mm.
Because at that time, I think, in my recollection of the motion, and we can find the motion, I think the motion read that council wanted staff to bring a revised 9 to council for consideration. I don't know, I wasn't as clear on whether that motion represented support for 9 from council. Nevertheless, that was before we knew that we needed to
Yes.
do the 2 options.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I think the intent certainly was positive towards 9 at the time of the discussion.
That's right. Yeah.
That was, again, that's not by motion, but that's just from my recollection of the discussion.
Okay.
So, you know, what you do now, I think you require a motion to choose one of the two options regardless, because the situation has changed in the sense that you had to look at two options.
Mhm.
So if Richard, if Councillor Donaldson, anyway, so a motion needs to be made one way or another
Oh,
in order,
okay.
and you
Yeah.
can make that motion, or you can further discussion or defer. That's
Okay.
really where we're at.
Donaldson, did you have anything else to
Yes,
add?
I'm still a little unclear. So we have to present two options to the Utility and Review Board, or did we choose?
No,
Two options.
to the public.
Yes.
That was our choice, though.
No.
No.
The Service Nova Scotia, the Utility and Review Board, and Service Nova Scotia, it was really instructions came from Service Nova Scotia, and they said you have to present two options to the public,
Okay.
not two options to the UARB. What you have to do is you select one based on your work. So before, we would just select one, go to the public, and the public would say yay or nay or give your feedback. And so what the UARB didn't know was whether the public would prefer another option. So they asked us to do a little bit more work, not just us, all of the municipal units, to do more work to prove that in fact 9 is the proper number, or 7.
So every municipality in the province is going through this step?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
So
yes.
somebody like Barrington that have had 5 councillors have got to present 2 options and have public meetings?
That's a good clarification. I believe because they have done that change within they have 8 years, up to 8 years to make that change.
Okay.
So because they've already done that, the clock has started anew for them. So they don't have to meet this deadline, they've already met it.
Okay.
Now, I doubt sincerely that they, at the time that they made this change, that they were advised by Service Nova Scotia that they had to present 2 options. Because what Service Nova Scotia did was, I mean, they're basically informing most of the municipalities, which most of the municipalities go to 2016, or sorry, 14, in order to make that decision. Some have early adopted, so they probably weren't subject to those rules.
No, probably not.
Because we only found that out in the winter,
Yeah.
like early winter 2013.
That's right.
Okay.
January 2014.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
now, if I'm clear, if we make the motion for 9, that's what we present?
That's what would be presented to the UARB.
Yeah.
That's my
Okay.
understanding of how it would work.
So, do they come back and say, if they're not satisfied, we want you to go to 6, 7, 8, 2? Or do we give them anything to do with 7 that we've already done?
What we would give to the UARB is our decision as council that 9 was the selection. Part of the report explains our process. So part of the submission would say, why didn't you select 7? So it would show what you did for public consultation, how you advertised it, how many people consulted, how many people said in favor of 9, how many people said in 7. All of that information is part of the report, but it's only to support your decision.
Does it have to be part of the report, is what I want to know. If we stand firm with 9,
Right.
do we have to give them another option for them to consider, or do they come to us and say, we want you to consider another option? Then we look at it, because if we go 7, it's obvious we can't go with the boundaries we already chose for 7, because that's not going to be accepted.
I guess we'll have to ask them.
Well,
Yes.
The UARB can come up with its own decision based on the criteria that's in the Municipal Elections Act. It does not have to come. This is your presentation. This is
Yeah.
your argument to the UARB that you would be making.
And my
Therefore-
argument, why are we giving them 2 presentations when we actually going to stand, we got to stand by one or the other? And let them decide what they're going to do with that decision, rather than giving them 2 options to say, okay,
We don't give them 2
You
options.
only give them one.
well, in a way, we're giving them 2. Because we've gone through the process of having community meetings.
Because they want-
Mandated to do it to go to the two process.
They want to, I think that as part of your presentation, you have to show that you had, there had been some other options for the public to consider at large.
You have to use numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, of course you have to, of course. But if they see that the public has been presented with the same arguments vis-à-vis the 8 or the 7 or the 9 that you are making to the UARB, and the UARB, then the UARB can make its decision accordingly.
Okay, it's just never been done that way in all the years I've been here, that's all.
That's,
Well, it's the first time we've done it this way.
yeah, and just what I'm hearing Councillor Donaldson say is that by putting both options in the report, you're just giving ammunition or information to the UARB to make a different decision.
That's exactly what I've been trying to say in a
right.
nice way.
Why?
I
Because
think,
I'm a nice person, I guess.
I think so that's you know, that's a legitimate a concern. I think the reason why the UARB and Service Nova Scotia are asking us to consider too is I think the UARB would be satisfied. This is my understanding. I'm not the UARB. It would be satisfied if it could satisfy itself that you considered in a meaningful way more than one option. So if you went into the UARB report and you presented the 9 as the only option, the UARB might ask questions. They might say, well, what's the average amount of councillors for a rural municipality your size? Or what's this or what's that, what's this? So all those questions are actually addressed.
They already know all that.
Right, but I mean, they would ask, like, did you present that to the public? And so what we would say is yes. And despite that, this is their choice. And so then they can be satisfied that the report is reflecting the public's intent. So on one hand, it gives them information to, you know, kind of look at it and say, well, there's another option. But on the other hand, you're actually supporting your decision for whichever one you choose. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and again, I can't assure you of that, but that's my understanding of how the UARB would, that's why they want the information.
They're gonna have, in my opinion, they're gonna have too much information. But- Okay, move on.
Thank you. Councillor Muse.
I was also very disappointed with the numbers. There's no doubt in my mind that there should have been more, because, I mean, it either shows that they're not interested or they don't care. They're satisfied with what's happened. But I also heard comments that they did not know that the meeting was, they didn't know that the meeting was what it was for. Like, there's a meeting, but they didn't really know what it was for. And they would have attended. And some people attended because I told them the day before or whatever, you know, I talked to people that are coming to the meeting, and the question was, well, what meeting is that? And I would have to explain what the meeting was all about, and some of them did show up. I've also been told that people did not attend because they felt that it was a done deal, that we were just going with the public, to the public, knowing that we weren't even going to listen to what they had to say. And again, I had to defend that, of course, that's not the case. Going back to if we recommend 9, there was some criteria now with the 10% of the average, up to 25%. Did we change the 9 enough? Did we modify the 9 enough to cover ourselves in that respect? Because I think we've got more than 10%. We didn't change the 9 significantly enough to make a difference in the numbers, did we? It does make a bit of a difference, but we're not within the 10%, and that's what I'm afraid that the UARB is going to.
Well, you're allowed,
pardon
because
me?
of community of interest, you're allowed to.
And you're allowed. We'll have, yeah, we have to have a good explanation.
Yeah.
Just the fact that we're saying that the public preferred 9, you know, is that going to be enough for them to accept 9? I wonder. We have to tell them that we did have 2 consultations, or 2 options at the consultation meetings. I mean, that's what if we don't, then that's the first question that's going to come back.
Well,
why did you have 2? We told you needed 2 options. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, that we have to include that in the report at some point, whether we give numbers or not. We still have, or whether we say we that we offered 7, maybe we don't have to say what we offered. I don't know, but we do have to say that we had at least 2 options there for the public to consider. I don't know. I mean, did you say that you've done work, revise some of the, if we were to recommend that and they come back, are we prepared with the 7? I mean, how prepared are we to recommend the 7? Is it modified enough that we're going to get public approval with that, or you know what I mean? Like you said, there's been work done since our meetings. It would be interesting to see where those lines are in my, just to see what has changed. Anyway, that's my questions.
Thank you. Councillor Surratt?
I guess probably more or less some comments. I did vote for, when we voted, I was looking at 7. I was getting plenty of feedback at my place of business. It's the place everybody stops in and talks, I guess. I personally sent, this is not Facebook, I personally sent 50 emails. Personally sent 50 emails to people, especially those that were really grinding at the garage after myself, and one person showed up. The 50 that I had said the meeting was in Illbrook, one person showed up. And I feel that the people have spoken. We don't need to make a review, as far as I'm concerned, to look at 7. If the UARB comes, whatever, the people have spoken. I was in favor of 7, I had my reasons. But you know what? The people have spoken, and like Councillor Mew said at a previous meeting, will we be bound by what is said in here? And we all said yes. So I tell you what, I am going for 9 people, not even a question. The people have spoken. The people that were all yakking at me with emails I sent never even showed up. So that tells me that the majority of people want 9. If they didn't speak, it's up to them. And I am going to be voting for 9.
Are you making that a motion?
I'm making that a motion.
Second.
Councillor LeBlanc?
This may come as surprising if you read the report. There's 10 people at attendance in Wedgeport. They all were in favor for keeping 9. I respect that, but in retrospect to what Councillor Surratt said, nobody attended the meeting despite your 50 emails. I had the same problem. Everyone's quick to stop me at the wharf or stop me at the coffee shop and tell me their opinion, but they didn't take the time out of their day to show up to the meeting, be it the fact they didn't know about it or whatnot. But quite frankly, I can't go back to them and say, no, you didn't come to the meeting. So I took my own consensus. 10 people at the meeting all said they were in favor of 9, but kind of indifferent to the option of 7. Whereas the people who were for 7 were completely opposed to 9. They wanted less government, they wanted savings, and they wanted funds allocated elsewhere in the savings of less councillors. Regretfully, I think a lot of those opinions would have been swayed if they seen the presentation, which was very neutral at these meetings, and that's why I feel probably the 10 people that were in attendance in Wedgeport all were in favor of 9. But I don't know why those people weren't at those meetings, and I do not want to go use the excuse so that they weren't there. I have a survey of about 32 people. The only 10 that were for 9 were the 10 that were at the meeting. Everyone else personally contacted me because they felt like less councillors, larger districts, I guess, meant a savings to them. I tried to show them, a 50-50. Personally, I don't really care, personally. And they were quite adamant that they wanted a reduction, so I'll be voting negatively against the motion for 9. That's all.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? Question been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is Warden's report. It won't take you long to read that. I try not to repeat too much, Alain has a good report and about things that are going on. I just kind of report what I've done, part of what I do. If you have any questions or comments? If not, we'll go to councillors' reports. Councillor, Deputy Warden.
Just want to report, I probably sound like a broken record, but I have to talk about it again. It's the West Pubnico sewer plant, sewer treatment plant with the GO2 bags that we have and the smell. The weather is getting warmer, the smell's getting worse, especially on a nice weekend. People after working all week at home on the weekends trying to enjoy themselves in the backyard. Not very pleasant this past weekend. So as chairman of the West Pubnico Sewer Committee, I've called a emergency meeting on Thursday at 1 o'clock at the sewer plant of all places. But anyhow, that's where we have our meetings. And I'm hoping that the people in the road, the public, especially on the Rockwood, what we call the sewer road, I'm hoping that they come out. I've emailed a few and we'll be letting you know a bunch more about the meeting. We definitely have to, there's something that has to be done because it's going to be a long summer for them and me if this continues. So just want to update you guys. I'm hoping this is the last time that I have to talk about this on council.
I think they're doing something tomorrow, but whether that's going to help any.
Yeah, well, one of the bags is being, I guess, removed, or the materials being removed, but there is 2 bags, and I went there this morning, and if I had to guess which one smells the worst, not sure which one it is, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Surratt?
Just a few committees that I attended since our last meeting. Attended the Green Energy Committee, which is a three-unit committee of the Yarmouth County, and we had a presentation by Craig Whitman on the feasibility study of the medium-sized turbines, and they've located a couple of places, one in particular which was the better option, and a better option. Anyhow, they're looking at pricing and to see if the landowners would be in agreement. Anyhow, this is going to be an ongoing thing. I just thought I'd report that where they are on that. Nothing is finalized. Things would have to come to council here before anything is done. But anyhow, they're working on this. We also, like maybe Councillor Dalton was in a broken record, but we had the walk on the bridge, on the old bridge, out with the old in Threads Island this past Saturday. Weather was nice. Over 200 people were there, and it was well attended. I'd like to thank the Recreation Department for helping sponsor that. And we had nice fruits and vegetables and water and juices at the club after for everybody to have a sit down and have a chat. So it was really good, and we did good in selling souvenir albums, some of the, I guess, mugs and cups and that, and T-shirts. And just to remind everybody of the 28th, which is the opening of the bridge, starts at 2 o'clock. There'll be a few speeches, ribbon cutting, music, barbecue, and all the 9 yards. So it should, if the weather's nice, we should be expecting a good crowd. Also, what's that?
Question, when do you expect the bridge to be, that's the official opening, the 28th. Is the bridge going to be opened before that?
What the Dexter has told us that they said they're bound to have it open by the 30th, and they said the 28th should be good.
Okay.
But to go any further than that, I wouldn't dare.
Okay, thank you.
Dexter Construction, not Daryl Dexter.
Not Daryl Dexter, although it's their government that approved it, but that's all I have.
Thank you. Councillor Bork?
Just wanted to mention that Nikhil is on time and they're on schedule with the extension they're doing. And also I attended the FCM, which was very good, very informative. Had an annual lobster supper in our community for the fire department, well attended, not as usual. And I just wanted to mention also, we did a garbage cleanup in our ditches. Just like to tell the public that when you want to throw something outside, think twice, because it's a lot of work. And thank to the volunteers that did go and clean up the garbage. It's to keep our communities clean, and it's very important.
Thank you. Councillor Muse?
I guess the first thing is I want to thank the decision that was made in hauling the waste, or not hauling the waste in Abrams River. I'm sure the residents there are going to be quite pleased. I'm having a meeting, as a matter of fact, on Friday, a public meeting in Abrams River, regarding, not just regarding that, but regarding a couple of other things like the wharf and whatever. I also attended the FCM. Very informative. It's a good experience for those who haven't been. The trade show was excellent. We had very good speakers, and you get to speak and talk to a lot of people from all over, not just the province. It's good. It was a very good experience for sure. And one question I have, and I think maybe I should have asked that when the report came from the CAO, what's the name of that street that we've asked for the asphalt for paving estimates? Was that ever done?
We do have an estimate that was provided, and what we intended to do is to get all that information collected for our capital project priority.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just wondered if that had been put on the side burner.
Yeah, no, we do have some information. I want to double check the it's coming through Public Works, so I'd have to speak to John to be sure, you know, where we got that information. I believe we got it from one of the suppliers of the pave locally.
Okay.
So if that's the case, it's, I'm sure, fairly accurate. And I think the commitment that was made was we would do that, and then we would bring it to the capital project for you know, put it on the list as priority, and then have a discussion around that.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor LeBlanc?
Very quickly, I attended just a couple days ago a very scrutinizing question session with a group of grade 2 students at Westport School who were apparently had a lot of questions and concerns and issues with municipal politics. So that was very interesting. And just this morning we had a meeting at the Tuna Museum regarding the tuna wharf in Westport. Small Craft Harbors has not invested any money in that wharf in numerous years, and we feel, given its history being the tuna capital of the world, being the tuna capital of the world, and how proud we are of it, to see it go would be a shame. So we're looking at various options to save our wharf, I guess. That's it.
Okay, thank you. That's it. No more lights on. We'll now go to the CAO's report. CAO Muse, you're on.
I can start by just following up a couple of business, it's not, well, I guess it kind of is business arising, just, I guess it's just in the report, which is why I deferred. Just some ongoing work in accordance with your decisions to move forward on a couple of items, one being the Green Committee that Councillor Surratt had addressed. He'd gone to the recent meeting, so there'll be a memorandum of understanding that will be coming to you for approval that will basically set the parameters around the partnership. There's a couple of agreements that I will be reviewing, not asking for approval at this time in camera, as they are continuing to be negotiated with the town and municipality of Yarmouth. They refer to, I'm comfortable saying what they refer to. One is property tax around commonly owned assets, and the second being a Mariner Center agreement that is being negotiated currently. So they'll both be in camera, but I mean, the fact that we're looking at those two agreements is public knowledge. The specifics of them at this time is not public until we can iron out any sort of negotiation pieces around them, and so at that point then they become public. I think Just a couple of high points. Neil McKenzie was selected as new general manager for Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association. So that's fairly new information. I think it was recently announced. The Airport Corporation will be announcing their new manager as well. I haven't seen it officially, so I'm sure it'll come out very, very soon. In terms of other processes around ferry restoration, like that, that project is being finalized. There's still some cleanup to do there. As soon as we can get some information around the total cost of the upgrades, we'll certainly bring that to your attention. We'll probably be at the Industrial Commission table first. Other than that, I'm just trying to hit the high points of the report. We're into audit season, and taxation season, so the bills have gone out. So for those of you probably already know that. You might have gotten that in the mail. So the bills have gone out. The due date is July 31st without interest, and after which 16% interest applies. So we strongly encourage people to either make payment before July or seek to make arrangements. I think there are a lot of people that are not aware that you can make payment arrangements with the municipality. We encourage that. There's some pre-authorized plans. There's some other methods that you can pay the taxes, and some don't necessarily recognize or know that you can go to the bank and actually make a payment towards your taxes, and that not just on your mortgage. I mean, actually physically make a payment that way.
Only if you go to Kathy, yeah.
No comment. Any financial institution of the region. So that can be done. There's a variety of different ways that those can be paid. So I just want to make sure the public understands that. And of course, if anybody has any questions or concerns, they can call the taxation department. Community development, Brenda's working at the initiatives that exit the Economic Development Committee is undertaking. The signage project and the tourism ambassador project are two in particular that are moving forward at Brenda pace, which is excellent. We have recently received some confirmation of funding from the Recreation Department that we can't say out loud, but it's very good news on projects that we have been, looking to undertake and had been delayed for some reasons, and so sometimes good things come to those who wait. So we can't really announce it, but it's positive. It's very positive. In terms of the West Pubnico treatment plant, that is a big concern to the Public Works Department and to the CAO department. It's unacceptable the way that it's going right now, and we'll be meeting with the suppliers of the geotextile bags on Thursday, which is before the emergency meeting that Deputy Warden D'Entremont has set up, which is, I think, a great opportunity for the public to tell us exactly how inappropriate it is. And so we will be moving fairly aggressively on that. One of the two bags was noted to be removed on Wednesday. The second bag will probably be removed sooner than anticipated, sooner than planned. Typically, you'd wait until the bags are full. We may not want to do that. So we're also looking at the option of constructing a facility over the bags if we can't solve the problem to our satisfaction. We've done carbon filtering before around smells in different areas for different reasons. In Tusket, we had that situation, and we used carbon filters in strategic areas, and it eliminated the problem. So we hope that would certainly eliminate the problem there as well. But it is a little mysterious. If we knew what the problem was, we'd have fixed it by now. There's a variety of options. There are a variety of things that could be causing it. So. We think we eliminate some, and then it turns out we circle back on those same reasons, which is unfortunate and unacceptable. In terms of the other, has been a fair increase in dog complaints and unsightly premise complaints. So we are looking to adjust our resources accordingly. You've identified a priority to be the cleanup of the community, so we've identified some of the problem areas, and we'll aggressively be going after the cleanup of those areas. The dog, I think there's some transition around moving from consultant to SPCA, so we're having some communication that we want to improve, and I think it would be my objective to create a very solid process around how we deal with these complaints, because these complaints can be fairly acute. They can be, you know, fairly, some people are fearful of dogs, and I think the prevailing attitude of the region was that prior to, you know, perhaps 10, 15 years ago, you saw a loose dog, it was okay. But that's no longer acceptable in our communities. And I think, you know, some of the dog breeds are a bit more intimidating. You know, we used to not see the pit bulls as much as the little rivers. And so I think there was, a certain level of acceptance around some of that, but that's no longer the case. So, you know, we're trying to teach dog owners to be a bit more responsible around their dogs. Most of our complaints are nuisance-oriented, not bite-oriented. So I should make that distinction. And so we're addressing that as they come. And I guess there's a ton of things I could hit here. I'm just going to stop there and ask if there are any questions around some of the activities that are going on in each of the departments.
Deputy Warden, you have a question or comment?
I guess I don't want to be negative on everything tonight, so I guess I'll give it a positive spin. Again, it's the West Pubnico sewer and the Dennis Point extension. The ground, I don't know if they broke the ground yet, but today when I went to Dennis Point Wharf, I seen Aberdeen Paving's trucks were there, and they were, you know, surveying and looking around and scoping the area. So hopefully things will happen there. It's a 5 to 7 week project, which is at a good time of the year when lobster fishing is over. There's still activity at Dennis Point all the time, but not as much, I would say, in the summer. Some may disagree with me, but anyway, but we're looking forward to completing that project.
Thank you. Councillor Surratt.
Just a question to the CAO. Have you had any hard numbers for the ferry, the Nova Star? Have you heard anything like in a hard number?
No.
Just rumors. Okay, no. Just
No.
We'll probably hear it at the Industrial Commission meeting. We might get something from Greg Shea maybe, or maybe.
We haven't received anything directly here.
Very good.
A lot of it is just
No, I'd rather not. Just
third-party hearsay.
you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any more questions for CAO on his report, or?
And just the work on the Dennis Point should begin in July. They had some pre-ordering to do on some of the supplies, and they don't want to start-stop. So they'll mobilize when they receive the pumps they require.
Okay. Okay, then we'll go on to other business. Department of Agriculture, standard of care for companion animals. Just what you were talking about a few minutes ago. This is more, I guess, downloading, trying to, or whatever.
So this was sent to council a while back, and then of course added to the agenda. What they were looking for is specific feedback from council if you choose to give it. They've given us 90 days from April 24th, so we have until the end of July, if I did the math right. Essentially, the draft standards of care are attached. I did ask the UNSM executive director to give me an update in terms of whether the UNSM has provided a response. Her response is that they have not, and there's some uncertainty around whether the municipalities would be forced or not to enforce this particular legislation. That's unclear. Whether the province will insist that we enforce it. I think if you look at the letter from the minister, in two cases he makes reference to voluntary basis. In the letter. So you know, as part of the review, we want to explore on a volunteer basis any interest that you may or may not have regarding the role for your municipality in respect to enforcement of these regulations, and then again voluntary basis. So. Anyway, so it sounds to me that there wouldn't be any funding to support any sort of participation from the municipalities. I think it's not said, but it's it's not unsaid, so it leaves a little bit of ambiguity. And voluntary basis to me, if I read that properly, means you would be taking it on and not receiving any funding. So, you know, what that means for us practically is that the SPCA would probably do that on our behalf. And so whether there would be a cost, it would depend on whether they require additional resources to do the work.
Yeah.
So I really don't know if I'm assuming that the SPCA would take the opportunity to look at their own finances and say, well, you know, this is an additional service. We pay for a service. If we give more service, then that's obviously going to cost money. So it would be, I'm not sure what their plans are, and I have not received any sort of formal feedback from the SPCA on this.
Or UNSM.
Or the UNSM.
Yeah.
So the only concerns from my own, you know, I guess from my own perspective was it was a little unclear around some of the specifics around enclosures for animals. It says the pen enclosure must be designed to prevent injury or distress. So I'm trying to think about people with dogs with electric fences. So those are not designed to distress an animal, but if the animal crosses, it's certainly distressing. So does that mean that that's no longer allowed under the legislation? So, you know, I'm trying to place it in a practical way in terms of how this might affect our residents. There are questions that I wouldn't have answers to in that respect. So I would invite council to if you've already gone through, to take a look and provide comments. I'm just asking for your guidance around how you would like to proceed with giving any sort of guidance on
Before
this.
the end of the month meeting?
So it would have to be before the end of July. If we did it in this setting, it would have to be either today or at the end of June. Typically, the summer meetings are reduced, or you'd have a special meeting to deal specifically for this.
Councillor Donaldson?
Yes, this has been an item that's been in the news recently, and based on the news that I've watched, it's mainly to do with tying up dogs for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And now it seems that they've added a whole lot of other issues in here that, to me, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think the tying up of dogs for a long period of time, I think that should be addressed. If we put nothing else in our letter, if we send it, I mean, that would be our main concern. I'd like to see some kind of regulation be enforced province-wide.
Yeah.
And it's not an economical thing, it's a compassionate thing on my part. Like, I just don't think it's right the way you see some dogs treated, and I think where they go after that, I mean, UNSM will have to make a decision on how big of a stand they're gonna take on all these issues, but that's one issue I'd like to see addressed in a letter sent to that effect.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's hot in here.
It is hot in here. Councillor Albright?
I just kind of agree with Councillor Donaldson. When you read through this, there's tons of things in here. I don't know how you would police this. I don't
Yeah.
know how you would just kind of keep on top of all of that. That, to me, is extra service, and that's a lot of extra service, so I'm thinking extra money.
Yeah.
That's all.
Probably the only way to police it is neighbours.
Yeah, which probably happens anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Usually, yes. Yeah, thank you. Councillor LeBlanc?
Given the fact we haven't heard any standing point from the UNSM or the SPCA on this, I don't think we should spearhead this, given the fact that, just like Councillor Albright pointed out, it seems like it would be insanely costly. We should at least defer till the end of July until we either hear from the UNSM or the SPCA or any other entity that, you know, wants to address the issue. I don't think we should head this for the time being.
Okay. Deputy Warden?
You know, and I agree that this is definitely something that would be difficult to, you know, to police, but I look at this as maybe a chance for us to educate the public, you know, if we could educate the public and, you know, in some way that, you know, people would have more respect for their pets, be it dogs, be it cats, you know, I think we're in 2014 here. It's not the Stone Age anymore. And, you know, we have to, you know, be responsible when it comes to our pets, and the municipality could maybe in some way, and I'm not sure how, I'm not suggesting any way, just, you know, there must be an education piece here that we can, you know, either put stuff on our website, you know, maybe put it in the newsletter, or, you know, something like that, just to make our residents aware that, you know, these things are happening and that they shouldn't, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
The air conditioning appears to be working now.
Yeah,
I hope that's not the furnace.
yeah. Okay, so if anybody else has any comments or on this, they can let you know.
Yeah, I guess my only concern would be that the response would represent council, right? So,
Yeah.
what we can do is I can take some of this and we can bring it back at the next meeting and then
Yeah,
decide how, you know, effectively as a group we're gonna move forward.
yeah, okay.
I mean, what I heard from council is that, you know, let's not rush, but enforcement could be a problem, and that the tethering is really one that appeared to be
Yes,
a
of
concern
course.
in particular. I think
Yeah.
some of this came from the SPCA. That's another thing. Like, I think this is being, you know,
Yes.
the SPCA is involved on the back end of this in terms of saying, you know, look, we have this animal cruelty issue, and, you know, they have to, you know, they're probably expected to address it, and you can't do that for free. So
That's right.
and there's probably some logic behind that, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry.
Councillor Muse?
No,
Comment on that?
he
or-
answered what I was going to ask. I didn't know if he wanted a motion, what
Not tonight.
CAO
but
wanted, or just information on how we feel, or in order to answer to this.
Right, I'd like a collective move forward. So
Right.
whether that's today or the next meeting is entirely
Okay.
up to you.
Correct.
You may want, now that you've heard that, you may want to think about it, or you may want
Mm-hmm.
to make a motion to drop a concern. But based on what I hear, I might drop something for you for the next meeting if that's easier.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Next item on the agenda is summer meetings. I guess in the past, we've canceled our meetings for July and August, unless something shows up and the warden calls a meeting, if there's anything that needs to be decided. So I was just wondering what council wanted to do. What's the decision of council on this? Councillor Surratt?
Well, in the last 5 years that I've been here, what we've done is, you know, if there's a meeting required, the warden calls, or the CEO calls a meeting, and we usually do end up having one in August. And I would think to follow the same path, I would think.
So if we decide to go that way, I think we need a motion. We can't just neglect having a meeting, or I think it has to be done by motion.
Okay, I'll make that a
Anyone?
motion that we, I guess that we cancel the, is it the July and August regular council and committee of the whole, is that correct?
Normally, that's what we do.
Okay, and that, I guess, I don't know if I have to add this in the motion, that if need be, the warden will call
Yes.
a meeting to deal with whatever we have to deal with.
I'll second that.
Okay. You've heard the motion. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just something I'd like to add, no, I didn't press the button. Just something I'd like to add, that, so the people that might be watching, that doesn't cancel any of our committee meetings. Those are still ongoing.
Oh, yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Letter of support, East Pubnico New Horizons, letters of support, I should say. East Pubnico, SAR New Horizons, Quinan New Horizons, and Patchwork Pals. I guess they're looking for sending applications for grants for seniors, and they're looking for letters of support from the council. No, yeah.
I think
if you move that. And have a seconder? Yes. For the, 1, 2, 3, the 4, right? Was there others? There's only those 4, yeah.
I think it's, yeah, I have East Pubnico, just double checking.
That one was SAR, that one you're looking at there.
SAR, Quinan New Horizons, and Patchwork Palace.
Yeah.
So it's East Pubnico, New Horizons, SAR, New Horizons, Quinan.
Yeah.
So there's
just
East Pubnico, New Horizons, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, all
I just-
those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We can get some money for the seniors, New Horizons, it's all the more we can do in the community, and there's certainly a lot of volunteers and a lot of work being done by our seniors.
If I may,
Yes.
Mr. Warden, this, I'll loop back to why these letters of support are strategic. And one of our strategic initiatives is to constantly look for other avenues of funding to benefit either our own projects or projects in our community. So to the point around the recreation piece where we had successfully obtained funding for one of our projects, this is the same. So these people, these organizations have in their own way gone ahead and initiated a project. Some of them have asked our community development officer, Brenda, to assist them in the application because we've done that in the past. So this is strategic. So, you know, this is part of the objectives that you said was important. So, you know, it seems like a quick motion, but this is actually, you've actually moved in that strategic area.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Kathy Bork? No.
I was going to make the motion.
Oh, okay. Municipal scholarship presentations. We have to decide, I guess, who is going to make the presentations at the 2 high schools. I don't know how we decide, or who wants to, you know, I know a few people said they would like to do it, or some said if you need somebody to do it, I'll do it, and so.
Mr. Warden, we're going to be honest, the staff, like, we had a lot of interest.
Yeah, I
So
know.
we didn't want to decide, right? I mean, because, you know, it's like asking your bosses to do something, right? So that's why it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
We want for you to decide
We didn't think it
who
was
should
right
present,
for the-
because
for the
if,
staff to decide.
right, because, I mean, I make a decision, I'm going to pick Danny, and Nicole's going to be mad, and it's really a zero-sum game for me, like, it doesn't work.
I'll make things better. She'll be mad.
That's right. I'd rather you be
That's
angry.
right, yeah.
Rather you be angry at each other. You know?
Yeah. Well, we had. So,
I just said that I would be willing, because I'm going to the Par-en-Bas graduation.
Yes.
My niece is graduating, so
Yeah.
I'm going to be there. And if there was nobody else, I'm, you know,
yeah,
we're in education. It interests me.
yeah, I know, yeah, yeah. Danny said, if you need somebody, I can go.
That was it.
Yeah.
I didn't know if the warden was looking,
No, no,
if he had other things to do and he was
No.
looking for somebody.
But if you want to, like, that's fine, too, you know.
well, it doesn't matter to me. I can do it. I'm gonna be there also, but if somebody else wants to do, I've got,
It's the same here for Drumlin. I'm going to the Drumlin.
yeah,
For another financial organization.
yes.
I'm going to be there anyway.
I just expressed I do the Par-en-Bas one, given the fact that I'm the only one of us 9 that's attended Par-en-Bas. But like that one, yeah. I did.
Not long ago.
Not that long ago.
I was there longer than you, I drove the bus.
30 years. You want to do it?
42 years.
Not at Par-en-Bas school.
From day one.
Is that right? Well, how are we going to decide?
I don't know. You go
This is a
ahead.
hot potato issue, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
You go ahead and do it.
Just
No,
draw,
no.
just draw a name out of a hat.
Huh?
Seriously, draw a name out of a hat. It works for me.
Those that want to do it, put a name in the hat.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I feel like I need to say it because he's not going to say it for himself, is there is at least one counselor who is on this scholarship committee, all right? And so it does make sense that person be one of the
Absolutely.
considerations.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if that person is willing or not, but I'm just saying.
I refuse.
Okay. That would have made it easy.
Easy enough. There's enough people here.
Yeah, no, we just want to, we don't have any policy, it's not a long discussion
Yeah.
drawn out, but I wanted to, you
Yeah.
know, it's a good problem. Like, you
Yeah.
all want to participate,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
great.
it's giving back to our students,
Yeah.
right?
Sure it is.
It's important.
So do you want to put names in a hat and draw or whatever? It doesn't matter to me. Yes?
Well, I think that
Deputy
the warden should have priority, you know, because he is the warden, he is the voice of the municipality. You know, I think the warden should decide if he wants to go or not first, and then the rest, we should probably, if we want to, put our name in the hat. So, Mr. Warden, I think the ball is in your court, as far as I'm concerned.
What's the date first, sorry?
26, 27?
Yeah, it's Thursday and Friday.
And should the deputy warden be considered? Did you put his name?
No, the deputy warden, in the absence of the warden not being able to fulfill his duties, or, I would accept at that time.
Well, if it's the will of council, I can do it, because I'm going to be there at both.
There we
Doing
go.
other
Settled and
presentations
done.
and,
Finally.
right. Okay?
Settled and done.
All right.
And you know
So
you have-
tell Brenda then, and so she has to report that to the school.
And you know you have backup in case.
Oh, yeah,
uh,
yeah. Right.
Okay.
So now we're all mad at the warden.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Change the subject. Procurement policy.
Excellent.
Procurement policy. I think we've made some changes, not we, but staff. And the changes are highlighted in yellow from the last one we've seen, 41A. A department head is authorized to make contracts for the acquisition of goods and services where such expenditure does not exceed budget by more than 10%, up to $1,500. I think that was one of the things that came out.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes. The answer to your question is yes. We have had first reading. Based on the first reading, the changes are yellowed.
Yeah.
So we gave further clarification around what the department heads are allowed to do within 10% of the budget. So there was another layer put in the policy based on some of the questions, concerns. And I did make another change around the purchase order not required. It used to be that it would not be required for individual purchases less than $50 in value. Well, you can't buy anything for $50. So that increased to $150. So
Yeah.
if we needed a purchase policy for everything above 50 or below 50, it would be a bit of an administrative burden that really doesn't have a lot of value. And that's pretty much it.
And payments to as provincially determined expenditures we don't have any control over.
Yes, thank you for that, because there's
Forward to
specific
A.
exemptions. Unfortunately, we can't make any authority decisions around procurement, around education. That's decided for us.
So I guess that's about all the changes from the first reading.
Yes.
Yeah. So are we looking for a motion to approve?
If council's satisfied with the
if-
changes, it can make a motion.
Yeah.
Yep. If it requires more, we can do it again. And keep in mind that this is a policy, that anytime you want to make a change, it takes a week notice and a
Yeah.
change. So-
Councillor Donaldson?
So I had my light on for to make the motion
Second.
to accept this procurement policy.
And seconded by Deputy Warden. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next, we go to correspondence. Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, notification of proposed aquaculture. Is that the expansion or of the Dion
Yes.
oysters?
Yes.
Russo oysters, I should say. Department of Transportation and Infrastructure and Renewal, Schmedy Jacquard, the letter that we received back from that. from the minister, I think, or the minister's office, department. May building permits, comparisons from last year, this year. And the letter from Dr. Terry Rowland advising us that he is retiring at the end of the year. I am not surprised, he's not healthy, and he had thought of staying until his contract was up, but I was talking to another doctor the other day, he said, I don't see how he does it. I think he goes home for lunch and he has to take a rest, and he's not very healthy. Well, he's on the list for kidney transplant, I think. Yeah. But he's served us well for years, and I guess, and fortunately, hopefully, we're getting another doctor moving in November, so that will take part of that. And with the programs, the 2 doctors that will be in Argyle also, hopefully that'll help.
I just, on that letter, I don't think I'm telling tales out of school. Terry, Dr. Rowland, he would say, call me Terry, did come in and meet with me to tell me in person he wanted to make sure that the municipality was one of the first to know about it. I think that was his way of saying thanks for allowing the opportunity for the clinic, and that environment has been very positive for him. I can tell you something, when he spoke to me, I won't say the specifics, but I mean, the professionalism and the he showed his true colors as a fantastic person. So I think it was really kind of touching what he said, and the fact that he was, making a very difficult decision, obviously, for his career, but he was fairly impressive. I was left a bit in awe after he left the office around some of the things that he said. So it just said how much of a good guy he was for the community.
Yeah.
Anyway, just want to say that out loud.
I know when we went with a doctor that wanted to visit the clinic, Shirley Watson-Poole and I, and he came over on a Saturday afternoon and opened up the clinic for us and gave us a tour. He's a doctor that's looking to move in the area somewhere, and he did a fantastic job, and he was really impressive. So, but I guess time has come. Grant request. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I just wondered if a replacement doctor was going to take his practice, but we don't know that.
I probably not take some of his patients, but yeah.
Go there and take his practice. That's going to.
I'm not sure. We don't know that. But
It's too early to tell for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the expectation for any new doctor when they begin is not to take over a practice. So, I think in the community it would be wise for us to manage expectations around that. Ultimately, it's the physician's decision, and they are bound ethically to a certain process around how they select their patients. They can't just say, "Oh, you're diabetic, I don't want you, I'm this." So they have a certain professional, ethical process that they need to select. But a new physician could not take over a practice of that size. He has a lot of patients. I don't know how many are active, but he sees a lot of people per year. So, yeah.
okay, we'll go on to grant requests. Association of Municipal Administrators, the Fall Conference. That's in your field. It's the CAO. They're coming, is this next fall?
Yes. So what we did last year, it was hosted in Yarmouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the letter is identical to last year, and I remember the discussion was around, well, okay, we're not a small town, and we're not a medium to large unit. So I think last year we contributed 700 to this convention. Because it's local, they're asking, right? So local meaning, you know, Digby County, Yarmouth County is typically what.
Okay.
So it's entirely up to council. It is the AMA, it's the Association of Municipal Administrators, and we do get some marketing recognition for our contribution. We're recognized, but I mean, I don't know that, you know, has any sort of, people don't move to Argyle when they see that we put an ad in the AMA,
No.
right? I'm just saying that we do get some recognition from that. So you could argue it's a bit of a marketing ask, as if you're thinking about the grants to organization. So anyway, it's entirely up to council.
This is coming this fall, 2014.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Surratt.
I'd like to make a motion that we support the AMA in their conference in Digby at same rate as we did last year when they came to Yarmouth. I think it's important that we do so. After all, with their organization that we see at the UNSM. We talked to some of the people that are there from the AMA, and I think we've done so before, and I think we should do again to the tune of $750.
Councillor Deputy.
I guess just wondering, so is this going to go through grants.org in the September, or where's the money going to come from?
I think this is really conference support.
Okay.
So I consider it not part of the grants to organizations process in my view.
Yeah.
That's just my interpretation. So it would probably show itself under the AMA conference line as a contribution there.
Perfect, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Excellent. All heard the motion, all those in favour signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item, 2016 FCM Board Meeting, bid proposal. Well, you've seen what we got here, and you've got an email from our CAO, and like the CAO suggests, if they want to come to Yarmouth and Yarmouth doesn't support it, I don't know why we would.
Yarmouth.
The town, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
So from our perspective, I've spoken to YASTA, and they're fully expecting us to reject this proposal. So I think we just want to do that by motion, because they understand that if they don't have the support of all three, our support is really kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
So they understand, and what they've committed to do is to look at the process, to examine the process that they go about this, so that it doesn't happen this way. It kind of like pits municipalities in a strange situation to make a decision around these things. So it's not intentional. It's just that's the process currently. So they're looking at amending or improving that process. So I mean, they're fully expecting a denial. I would appreciate seeing that by motion, so I can just close it.
Yes, Surratt?
I'd like to make the motion that we deny the proposal that's been sent by Yarmouth and Acadian Shores for the FCM to support a letter for the FCM coming to Yarmouth, 2016.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favour signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Feed Nova Scotia, we just got the letter here lately. In the past, I don't think we've given, and it says in the letter, if you're giving locally, we don't want to take from your local food banks and things, so I don't know, we just want to table it, or if we give, we'll give locally. District Community Grants, Twin Village Social Club. I think we have an attachment. that one. Councillor Surratt?
I'd like to make a motion that we grant a district community grant to the Twin Village Social Club for $500. Come out of my budget, I guess, and they're repairing the roof, trying to repair their roof. They just don't have enough money to finish it all. They can do about 3/4 of it, but the $500 will help in them finishing their roof. So I make that motion.
Second.
I thought you were gonna say take out of my stipend, but no, you didn't make that mistake. All those in favour, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Green Grove Cemetery. That's,
So moved.
Second.
Amount? 500 all, next four are all $500. Okay?
I'll second them all.
all those in favour, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. New Horizons Seaside Historical Park.
So moved.
Second.
500.
All those in favour, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Mount Pleasant Cemetery.
So moved.
All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Lower Argyle Harbour View Cemetery Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Same amount?
500. Okay. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Get the same phone calls every year now.
Yeah.
Notice of motion by councillors. Anybody has a notice of motion for a future meeting? Kathy Burke?
Yes, I'd like to open the subject about private roads, particular Montague Road. I keep on humming on this one. So if we could bring this to probably the PAC first.
So that's in reference to
The Montague Road.
ownership or maintenance, or that's the issue is,
It's a little bit of everything, I guess, and then I'd just like to have a discussion of what we could do on that specific road.
Okay. Thank you. Note that. Question period. Anybody, any questions from the public? You heard enough. I guess we have to entertain a motion to go in camera.
Motion to go in camera.
All those in favour, aye. Opposed, nay.